Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey guys.
Well, welcome, Chandler. We're happy to have you on today's
Yeah.
podcast. And I met Chandler through his wife, and I am a little blurred on actually how we got connected. Maybe she contacted me. You guys were on vacation, I think,
That's
and I
right. We
called
were on
back.
vacation.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. We were in Carlsbad. We were
Mhm.
unplugged by the ocean, and then we were trying to connect. And then I remember we got some on the calendar when we got back, and we saw you at the studio. So that's right. I do
Yeah.
remember that.
Very cool. And I got to experience the red light sauna in your studio, which if I could do it every day, I would. But my schedule doesn't allow um, for all my luxuries that I want in life to
Right,
be every
right.
day. So it's time to get back in there and decompress, because that's what it was for me. It's just I literally didn't have my phone inside of the studio or into the sauna space, and I got to unplug for that hour that I was in the studio area. So
Cool. Wait,
um,
give me a little background on this studio.
yeah, go ahead, Chandler. Fill
Yeah.
us in.
So Perspire Sauna Studio. We have a couple locations here in the Valley. We're super excited. It's a very, and we can talk about the backstory and how sort of Stacy and I got introduced to it, but it's infrared sauna studio. So inside we've got, depending on the studio size, 9 to 10 private rooms where you're going to walk in. There's an infrared sauna in there. We have proprietary saunas from Clear Light, which has the red light included, which is really nice. And when we talk about therapy stacking and you just mentioned about it's hard to get in there. And when you're in there, you want to make the best use of that time, right? So the
Hmm.
ability to get that infrared heat, to get that benefit, but also get that red light therapy in the same 40-minute session. We've got chromotherapy in there. So I love that you just, Ange, hit on that experience because the modalities are great. And we can talk about the science of the modalities. And there's, handfuls of places where you can get those modalities. But how you wrap up that experience, I think is really important. Like what that experience is when you walk into the studio, what that 40 minutes is like, the ability to
Hmm.
unplug, the serenity of the studio, like that all matters. And so I think
Hmm.
that Perspire does a really good job of formulating that and being very intentional about what that experience is like for our members, because you're exactly right. Whether you're a performance athlete coming for the recovery purposes, or you're the mom of three that needs that 40 minutes to unplug from the daily grind, that time in the studio needs to be set apart and really serene and tranquil.
Hmm.
And we're thinking a lot about like, how does the studio smell? Like what are the premium towels? Like everything is intentional. So I'm glad you had a great experience, and we're excited. I think it's a very niche sort of modality, and I think it's the right time. It's the right fit for people that are really starting to take more ownership of their health, and how
Hmm.
infrared, how red light, how chromotherapy really fits into that regimen, I think is really cool to talk about.
Yeah. Before we dive into that, Claire, have you had a sauna like that experience?
So I've never done red light, I don't think, but I actually just ordered a red light. But I've been dabbling with it. I've never been to an actual like red light sauna, just regular sauna. So I'm excited to learn more about it.
Great.
And whatever chromotherapy is, because I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so all good stuff, and so we'll have to have you in, after this, and you got to come by the studio, and or you and Ange can come in and do it. We can walk you through it, but
That would be awesome.
yeah, very cool.
Yeah, Claire is in Scottsdale area, so we may have to
Oh, great.
plan that for your because you don't have studios out in that area yet.
We don't. So for the listeners here, we're at Kigling Queen Creek. So we've got a South Gilbert location. We've got an Ocotillo location at Ocotillo and Arizona Avenue. Cannon Beach at Power and Warner is under construction at the new Cannon Beach Surf Park,
Hmm.
which we're super excited about. It's going to be a really cool space. Not only our space, but that whole corner is going to be sort of wellness row. There's some really cool stuff going in
Mm.
there, and it's really going to be this elevated and adrenaline type stop with the surfing and everything. It's going to be cool. So we'll be
Wow.
there. We'll open mid-November there. And then we
Okay.
just signed on to come to Queen Creek. So we'll be in Queen Creek Marketplace right there at Ellsworth and Rittenhouse. And so we'll
Wow.
have 4 soon that we're really excited about. But
That's
yes,
amazing.
for Claire, there is one in Paradise Valley, and Maureen,
Oh,
she's the
okay.
owner there, and she's phenomenal. And we could make a connection, have you stop by there for sure.
Awesome. Very cool.
Otherwise, I was gonna say, when you need your hair done, Claire, we'll just do that first,
Oh, there we go.
then come get your hair done.
There we go.
I
Perfect.
still do her hair. Um,
Oh, right on.
but I would like to know, what's your background, like your history, what sports were you in, like how
Yeah.
kind of that timeline that got you to where you are today.
Yeah, so if you back up all the way to sort of growing up, obviously very active. I played college baseball, so my whole sort of growing up years was all geared towards, you know, uh, playing college baseball. So the club scene, right, the traveling, did all of that. Got a baseball scholarship, got to go play in Colorado. Phenomenal time. Got my a bachelor's degree in exercise science. Moved into my graduate degree in kinesiology. So health, wellness, exercise science, exercise physiology was sort of all of, always what I was interested in. That took me to sort of an indirect sort of tangent in the K-12 physical education space. So I helped develop a charter school network across the country of fitness focused charter schools. And
Wow.
so what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring in pediatric exercise science into the charter school space. And so we had strength and conditioning coaches, we had pediatric experts in athletic development come in and co-teach with PE teachers. And I built a curriculum K through 12 that really focused on long-term athletic development, looking at movement fundamentals, K2, looking at developing athleticism. And everyone was like, hey, athleticism is innate. Either you're born athletic or you're not. And I said,
Hmm.
well, not I said, but the research shows
Right.
no, 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 no. We can build athleticism. We can take
Mm.
somebody, and the ceiling might be different, but we can build athleticism. So for 7 or 8 years, I helped build that sort of network of schools. I was the national athletic director, and really, we had 30 campuses across the country, really focusing on fighting out childhood obesity, getting kids active every day in the school day. We developed a really phenomenal space, indoor turf space, indoor strength space. It was state of the art. And so during my time with that organization, I helped start an ed tech company. So we really found a need in the special education environment, and with my business acumen and helping build that network of schools, I dived into the tech space, and really helped compliance and oversight with those students on IEPs, so special education. Totally
Wow.
disconnected from the exercise science world, but I think it was a huge need, and it was a great opportunity for me to help build that. And so currently, that's what I'm doing. I'm helping run that ed tech company, and then all the while, we were members at Perspire. It's
Okay.
just a jog from my house. I fell in love with the experience with my background in exercise science. I understood the research. I knew that it was having an impact on people's health. Coming off of COVID, I said, this is a no-brainer. I was in there looking at the people that were in the rooms next to me, talking with the staff. I dug into the corporate side of Perspire, and I have a really great friend and business partner couple that said, hey, let's do this. So to make a long story short, we jumped into the deep into the pool. We acquired those 2 studios that I just mentioned, and we signed on to do 3 of our own. So we'll do 6 total. We acquired Ocotillo and South Gilbert in May, and we're building Queen Creek and Cannon Beach as we speak, and we're super excited. So that's sort of a really brief history on sort of how it came up and why Perspire sort of resonate with Stacy and I. Stacy's also comes from an athletic background. She cheered and danced growing up. She cheered for the Cardinals. She danced for the Suns. So she's been, super active until we started having kids. And so both of us, wellness has sort of been part of our life, and it made a lot of sense to sort of jump into entrepreneurship and then bring this sort of opportunity to our neighbors.
I love
Wow.
that. I mean, the whole
It-
it's so power packed. I mean, what you've done and different facets, but all on a journey and a path to get you where you are today.
Yeah, yeah, it's been really
Wow, that's an
interesting. And
incredible background, especially just I'm so passionate about kids too. So hearing that you were able to give so many kids such an amazing opportunity to grow in that athleticism, because you're so right. I mean, it's so easy for parents to say like, "Oh, well, they're not athletic. they're going to be more into the education, or like they're going to be more into education, not fitness or sports or, you know, different things like that. So it's really cool that you open that up for them.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think the harm in that is identifying someone in second grade, what their
Mhm.
what their movement journey is going to be into adulthood. And so we wonder
Mhm.
why that third grader who says, "Oh no, you're into art, they can be into those things, but that doesn't mean they need to stop moving." And when we
Mhm.
stop developing the skills to move, that then when they become an adult, they sort of self-select out and say, "Oh, I'm not athletic." Well, that manifestation then turns into a sedentary lifestyle because they see
Mm.
themselves as not a mover, and because
Mhm.
we haven't built the base fundamentals of teaching movement, and movement can be taught. And so, yeah, that's probably for another podcast,
Yeah.
but that was the journey, and those schools have had so much success, and it's been really cool to see that grow and to see how many thousands of kids we've impacted and how many kids are actually getting a state of the art physical education, across the country. And now movement breaks, movement in the classroom, you know, that 1 hour a day is part of their everyday school experience. And that
Mm.
in a day where we're actually cutting PE in the traditional schools, we're saying, oh, no, no, no,
Oh,
we're
right.
cutting it. You don't need it. You can get it outside of school. No, it should be part of a foundational, fundamental education. And so that's what we did.
Mhm.
Wow,
Yeah.
I want you back on another podcast just to hear about all that you've done with that. That's so cool.
Well, and
Well,
I resonate with that too, as far as passion to, with my son. I mean, he was a baseball kid. Um, and just how active our family was, and it was a natural thing for what we saw every day under this roof. But the one thing that resonated with me is like capping that, what we're the ceiling, right? And with different strengths, but how to, maybe they're not as coordinated, but they're still capable of having activity and developing better skills. But it may not look like your pathway or my
right.
pathway, but it's still creating awareness of how to live an active life, which is all about our Nourished podcast. But we're addressing the adults, but let's funnel it down to those kids too, because that's, as Claire has a passion for that, and I have a kid, it's still just as important to start that foundation young.
Yep.
But
I totally agree. Well said.
but like we said, it's totally it could be another 30 to 40-minute podcast in itself. So we'll pivot back. But yeah, what take us through what the experience is like for the red light therapy and color therapy. There are two different ones that I was exposed to. So
Yeah.
enlighten us.
Yeah, for sure. So there's actually three things happening in the studio that you were in, Ange. There's actually three things happening if you had sort of all the modalities turned on. The infrared heat, right? The
Mm,
near, mid, and far infrared panels, that was the heat source. And so that was where the heat was coming from. So that was one, that's sort of the sauna experience, so to speak. Then you had the red light bar. So that's a
mm,
separate modality. So that's light on that red light wave spectrum that's really geared towards cellular recovery. And so when you think about, Claire, what you purchased and what that's going to it was probably some sort of mask or something that you're going to sit in front of, right? So that's a panel that's really penetrating you at the cellular level, your mitochondria. So in the cell, right, you have mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. That's where ATP is produced, and that's where you draw all of your energy for all types of activity. What red light does, the red light bar and inside the sauna, is that as you're sauning and you're getting that heat exposure, you're getting exposure under that red light bar, which is helping with that cellular turnover. Because oftentimes, when you're thinking about cellular turnover, we want the cells that are healthy to turn over quickly, and we want the cells that are not healthy sort of to flush out. And that's what the red light is helping is it's really identifying those cells that are healthy. It's helping repair those cells, and it's really helping that ATP in the mitochondria be more efficient, which is why you're going to see reduced wrinkles, increased collagen production. You're going to get that elasticity back in your skin. So oftentimes we see red light in the beauty space because it's so focused on you know, looks, aesthetics, right? You know, we want all anti-aging properties. Like that's really where you see it. But for scarring, it's huge. For circulation, it's huge. But a lot of the benefits are coming from the heat. So if we can back up to the heat, that's the infrared panels that they're heating your body. Not too far removed from a traditional sauna. So Claire, you mentioned you've been in a sauna, maybe not infrared, at your gym, probably, I assume. Um, that's an external heat source. And so those are the rocks, right? You dump a little bit of water on, and it's heating the air in the room. That's a very different um, experience, because when you walk into that, it's sort of stifling, right? You walk into that sauna and you can do 15 or 20 minutes, but you know, anything north of 150 degrees in a traditional sauna is a little bit stifling because it's heating the air around you. And so
Mhm.
the air around you then then end up getting heat your body temperature. Infrared's very different because infrared is the part of the wavelength that you can't see. And so an infrared wavelength, to get real nerdy here, the molecule of the wave is actually all three parts are moving: electron, proton, and neutron, right? In a
Mm.
traditional light wave, only the electron's moving. So the movement of those properties is heat, because movement creates heat. So that is what's coming in contact with your skin, that wavelength, and that's what's actually heating you up. Therefore, you're getting a much deeper penetrative heat. So rather than just heating the surface of your skin, that infrared wavelength is going into your tissues,
Mm.
increasing your circulation, decreasing inflammation. And it's also much more tolerable. So Ange, maybe if you notice this, when you're sitting at 140, 40 minutes is not bad, because you're getting
No.
heated sort of directly, rather
Mhm.
than the stifling heat that's someone threw a wet blanket on your face and you have to like bear for 15 minutes. So that's the biggest difference. The heat is what's happening, but the way we're getting to that heat is very
Mhm.
different in a traditional sauna, what you're going to have at your gym, versus infrared, which is pretty new. It's only been around since the 80s. You know, infrared is fairly new, bringing it into
I
the
don't
sort
know,
of
I was
the sauna
born in the
space.
early '80s, so that feels like a long time. I mean, 'cause I'm 42, so but I was, really quick on that heat temperature, because when Stacy walked me through that and she told me, like, it was gonna be at, I don't know what she said, at maybe 140 for my first time, and I was like, "Wow, that seems really hot." And it wasn't like what you mentioned, and why it's different to be able to sit into 140 degrees. I mean, we in Phoenix aren't gonna go sit outside at 117, right?
Right.
Like, our tolerance for that is going to deplete us very differently, and get overheated and all those things, but I was not experiencing that at all. So I was pretty surprised on
Yep. Very
the
different.
very different, yeah.
And we get
Um,
folks that are like, especially in our climate, you know, it's sort of a psychological conversation we have to have with folks. Are like, you know, it's 117 out. Why would I pay to come sit in a sauna that's 150 degrees? Like, I'll just go sit in my car. Well, th- you know, it's not heat for heat, right? I mean, the heat, your circulation is not increasing, your heart rate's not increasing. Like the penetrative heat from the infrared is very different than the ambient heat that you're getting outside. You know, it's very different. And so
Mhm.
that's the education piece has been fun. Like really educating your
Mm.
members, like, hey, keep coming in the summer. Like, I know it's hot out, and you may not get that reprieve when you walk outside in the fall and it's 60 degrees and you get that flush of cold air, and it's like, oh, everyone falls in love with that. When you walk out to 110, it's like, oh, like, you know, not much different. But the benefits that are happening in that 40 minutes are the same, whether it's 10 degrees outside or 110 degrees outside. It doesn't change what's happening in the sauna. And we're
Mhm.
having to sort of have that conversation with our members to say, hey, you know, it, keep coming. It's
Mhm.
not the same, and that's just education, and so we're excited to do that.
And how many days would you recommend to people that they come in or do red light therapy?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, you know, the research shows that if you're coming in 3 to 4 days a week, you're going to get a reduction of about 40% in all cause mortality. That's a huge number. When we talk about
Mm.
cancer and stroke and diabetes and all the more, you know, the mortality sort of instances that we're seeing, the research is showing if you can come in 3 or 4 days a week, you're going to see a decline in all cause mortality. For detox, I would say you need to be in there 3 or 4 days a week as well, because we got to condition our bodies to sweat. A lot of people that come in say, you know, I don't really sweat. Well, it's because your body's not used to. You haven't called on your body to sweat. You haven't
Mm.
done the things that your sort of your physiological pathways go, okay, it's time to cool my body. You know, if you're not active, if you're a sedentary individual, you're sort of clogged up. And so another huge benefit of the infrared sauna is the lymph drainage, getting in there, sweating out the toxins. If you think about what's in our air, what's in our food, all that stuff gets clogged up inside of your, you know, your lymph pathways. And if you're not forcing your body to flush those toxins, to get that deep sweat, it builds up. And then that's when we're seeing inflammation, we're seeing eczema, we're seeing all types of issues because those toxins build up on our tissue because there's no release mechanism. And so the deep sweat that you're getting from the infrared sauna, and the reason why infrared is really the ideal modality, that penetrative heat going into your tissues, you're going to get that deep sweat. And so you're going to flush all that stuff out. And so when we work with those experts in the detox space, they're advocating that folks come in, you know, at least 3 or 4 days a week. So it really depends, Claire, on sort of what your schedule looks like. We know that's not doable for everybody. What I love about Perspire, what I love about infrared sauna is that, you know, I say 18 to 88, right? I mean, like, it's going to hit everybody for a different reason. If you're that college athlete looking for the performance benefits, you know, we can chat about that. If you're that mom looking for the relaxation and maybe looking for, you know, increased caloric expenditure, you know, that you're going to burn 400 to 500 calories sitting in there. Maybe that's what you're coming for. Maybe you're coming for the red light bar for your skin. Maybe you're on that retirement age and you're coming for the cognitive benefits, because the heat shock proteins created in the infrared sauna, there's some really great evidence showing that those are binding the plaque that's affecting cognitive decline in Alzheimer's. And so actually Perspire is doing a study with NYU that's looking at the heat shock proteins created by the increased heat in a sauna and what's that's doing as they pass the blood-brain barrier, and how that's affecting the plaque in your brain, and how that might help ward off some of the dementia prognosis that we're seeing in our older adults. So, I mean,
That's
you're not going to
incredible.
have that conversation maybe with a 25-year-old, because they're not really cognitive decline is not on their radar, right? But for that 70, 80-year-old, that is, and they want to stay sharp and they want that mental clarity. And when you come out of that sauna, not only the acute benefits of that one session, but the cumulative benefits of coming in that part of your life, there's a lot of great research which we're excited about that's showing this might be something with dementia and Alzheimer's and the breakdown of that plaque that's causing a lot of heartache, you know, that stage of life.
That's incredible. And for younger people too, I think this is such a motivating thing, because the fact that it decreases mortality rates by so much, that's kind of close to the rate of smoking even, which I think is like 50% compared to like fitness, which would be, I forgot what the mortality rate, but it's even more than smoking. So that's really surprising to hear about that. And longevity is all the rage. So people will do a lot of things. And so it's good to know that this is such a good option for anyone who's in the area who's interested in trying this out.
Yeah, Claire, and I'm so glad you mentioned longevity, because it's so much about your quality of life as much as it is about the duration of your life, right? I mean, even if let's say your life expectancy was, 90 years old, what do you want that last 10 years to look like? Do you want it to look, do you want to be active? Do you want to be doing the things that you did in your 60s and 70s into that age? Or do you want to be on medicine, not active? And so much of what you do is going to, and you guys know this is your lane, right? Is going to dictate what that quality of life is. And not only in that stage of life, even in the stage of life that we're all in, like what you put in, you get out. And so that longevity piece is huge, because we want a greater quality of life. We want to feel good. We want to be able to, we don't want to be able to just get by. We want to optimize what we have. And I think the longevity space is really thinking about what mechanisms are out there to really increase that quality of life. And we don't have to feel tired and sick and drug out and, just fall into bed at the end of the night. You can have a pep in your step.
Exactly. That's what I preach all day. Like, just whatever you do, like the little things that you can do every single day. And if it's something that it also is giving you like mental benefits as well as physical benefits. I just think that's so powerful because it's 40 minutes. It makes you feel good. And it also is increasing your longevity. And that's just so key. I think that everyone should be motivated by that. No matter what age you are, you can always get started. It doesn't matter. You can always increase that quality of life as you're going into that older age. It's just getting started today.
I often think too is I want to have the same, if I get to retirement and let's just say we're picking the round number of 65, I want to have the ability to finally live life because I've put in the work to get me to that stage of life. I don't want to be sitting. Like it's not like I made it to my rocker, you know? Like I want it to be I
Yes.
made it to the mountain and I made it to, you know, a round of golf or whatever that is for my personal goals when I complete my, you know, work life and I'm into that next chapter, and to be with grandkids, assuming that my son will go on to have his family. But it is the recovery has been a really big highlight for me, and this is a space, Perspire is a space of recovery too, for the muscles and to keep, I mean, everything recovered and moving forward so that I can get to those years where I don't have the same hustle as I am now, but I want to have activity and movement when I get there, not
Yep.
sedentary or injury,
No,
you know?
you're exactly right. And I think more people are thinking that way. I think more people are starting to go, okay, like there's another option here. We don't have to, you know, to your point, you know, jump into the recliner at 65 and just, you know, channel flip for the last whatever.
Mhm.
Like that's not what life looks like at that stage. But
Mm-mm.
there's things you got to do now, right?
Mhm.
You've
Mhm.
got there's things you got to put the deposits in now to get the withdrawals out at that stage of life. You have to, because you just can't go, oh well, now I want to be active. Well, now I want to thrive. Well, what did you do in your 40s and 50s to get there? And that's what people need to think. Like this is a long
Mhm.
runway, and it's,
Mhm.
you know, it's little tiny decisions that you make day after day after day. They're either building up for the good, or potentially they're building up for the detriment of what that stage of life could look like. And so I'm with you. I mean, we've got it. That's the fun part about educating our members and just speaking to the modalities, speaking to the therapies, right? You know, what
Mhm.
is infrared? What is it doing? What is the red light? What is it doing? Chromotherapy, as we think about mental health, chromotherapy is really focused at, you know, the more of the mental health. And when people are in there, the different colors that you're choosing, we talk
Mhm.
about rest and digest, you know, like are we energizing through the green? Are we energizing through the yellow, which is going to basically the neurotransmitters in your brain, it's going to basically wake you up and sort of get you started for the day? Or do we need to calm you down? Do we need to tap into that sort of parasympathetic nervous system? And do we need to have the cool colors and wind you down at bedtime if you're coming in late at night? So
Mhm.
everything is intentional, right? When we set the
Mhm.
lights, it's intentional.
So
The
there's
heat
different
has,
colored lights? I've never heard of this
Mhm.
before.
Yeah, I'm glad
yeah.
we're
So
jumping back
yeah,
to this because I picked the relaxation when I think I came around the 6, 7 o'clock hour, so I was ready to wind down for the day.
yep. So if you come in early in the day, you're going to see that the red lights more towards that warm color spectrum. You come in towards the afternoon, in the evening, you're going to see all the saunas sort of set to the cooler times because we're sort of getting ready to go to bed, right? And so we want to sort of get that uh, parasympathetic nervous system to calm down. We don't want you on high alert. We want you to calm down, ready for bed.
Mm.
That, in conjunction with why sauna is so great before you sleep, is because when you heat your body up, your body's trying to cool itself. Well, when you try to cool yourself, it puts you to sleep. That
Mhm.
mechanism is sort of in line with the circadian rhythms, is because your resting body temperature decreases at night when you go to bed. And so that kicks in your body's feeling, okay, it's time to sleep, it's time to go to bed. And that's when you get tired. And so if we heat the body up right and we basically trick the body to go into cooling mode, that's going to make you sleepy. And so that's great. We've got folks that just religiously will schedule that last session of the night because they go home and they hit their pillow like a rock and they sleep so well. And sleep is
Mhm.
a big issue in our society. People don't sleep well across the board for
Fact.
lots of different reasons. So we've got a lot of people that love jumping in the sauna early. We've got a lot of people that come in morning because it jump starts their day. You know what I mean? I'm so excited. We're introducing contrast therapy, what we're calling the
Cold
snow
plunge?
shower in our
Oh,
in our
snow shower. Cool.
in our new studios. We're actually going to have 45-degree rainfall shower that's push button start, that's controllable inside the sauna room. So you're going to have your own personal shower, so you can, you can finish up your sauna in the morning. You probably would end with that cold wash, what we're calling our snow shower. You're going to get a push button. We have chillers that are chilling that water down to 45 degrees. You're going to get that duration of time. And you can end with a cold wash after your shower session. That's going to be
Wow.
huge because
Wow.
um,
I'm
one of the
like
things
really pumped for
yeah,
this. Like I
it's
mean
gonna be
I'm
really
just
cool.
yeah, and then the vision behind this, your guys' passion, and then having these other options that are truly giving back to our body is just, I'm like, wow, I didn't even know this stuff was out there. I mean, it's just we live in our bubbles, and then we need people like you to bring light to it, no pun intended, because it's
That's great. Yeah.
it's needed.
So with the contrast therapy, so the cold, you want to end on cold, right? If you're like going to continue your day, would you end on cold if it's the end of the night and you want to go to bed, or
That's
no?
such a great question. No, you probably would not. You would probably do either you would just forego the cold wash for that session, maybe if you're coming in at night, or you would do it first. But the cool thing
Mm.
is there's a lot of protocols out there where now you can jump in the sauna and you can sort of do a contrast sort of bath, so to speak, because you can jump in the sauna for 10, go do a 10-second 45 rinse, jump back in the sauna for 10, right? And you get that flush. So we're gonna sort of educate on different protocols depending on the time of the day. But you're exactly right, Claire. At night, you probably would not want in, because those endorphins, that serotonin, like you probably wouldn't want that flush trying to go to bed, because that cold wash is going to wake you up. In the morning, you for sure would end with the snow shower. At night, you probably might start with the snow shower, just maybe for the anti-inflammatory benefits, but then you would jump in the sauna and you would end on the heat. But that's the cool
Okay.
thing. Like, you can leverage this room, this personal room that you get for 40 minutes. You can leverage it for however you want, depending if you're headed to the office, maybe you're headed out for a busy day and you want to end with that cold wash, or maybe you're headed home to go to bed, and you want to end with the sauna. It's totally up to you. And we'll have protocols in there that we advise on, sort of depending on what your goal is. So
Very
Very cool.
cool.
yeah.
So how does one prepare? Like, do we hydrate? What does that look like leading into a session? And then the post recommended, probably not go have 4 beers after you go through this process. So how does that look? What's going to give us the optimal benefit?
Yeah. So coming to Perspire, you're going to want to come hydrated. I mean, you're going to want your tissues hydrated because you're going to sweat a lot. And you're especially going to sweat a lot once you're conditioned. Everyone thinks that, back to the sweating thing, is like, oh, I don't sweat, like I must be in good shape. It's actually the reverse. Actually, when you're sweating, your body's conditioned to the mechanisms of whatever's happening, and it has memory. It's, oh, I've been here before. If you're not sweating, your body's like, this is new for me. I haven't been here before, and I'm going to resist it. So actually, the quicker you sweat, it's sort of a sign of conditioning, similar to exercise. You look at the most conditioned people and you're like, oh man, I thought they were in good shape. Yeah, they're in phenomenal shape because they're sweating 2 minutes in, because their body's like, oh, been here before. I know what's happening. I'm going to get things going. So it's sort of, there's this memory. But back to your question, yes, you're going to want to hydrate pre, during, and post. I mean, you're going to want to do all three things. We've got water available for purchase inside the studio if you forget, but most people bring in their own water. You're going to want to drink throughout. You can bring your water bottle. You're going to want to slowly drink, at least a liter of water while you're in there. And then you're going to want to replenish, and probably with an electrolyte additive after, because you're going to dump salt, potassium, magnesium. You're going to want some sort of supplement in your water, probably as
And I
you
know
leave.
in your
Yeah.
studio has the LMNT, which we just had a hydration episode and talked about that being one of the options out there. So you guys do have the packets in-house for
Yep.
people.
Yep, we have the element packets that you can grab on your way out and dump them in your water. We've got the sparkling element, which is new, which is, if you haven't had it, is awesome. It's really great. But yeah, I mean, electrolyte. I mean, I love Element. I like
Mhm.
the cleanliness of it. There's no sugar in there. There's no caffeine in there. It's just pure. The, it's not I'm not promoting Element, but it's a great option. But there's a lot of
Yeah.
things out there. But yeah, it's all in the studio. We've got sweat cream in the studio. There's some accelerators for people that want to activate their sweat. There's some different
Okay.
creams in there
What?
if you want to do that.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
because
like,
if you are that person, yeah, and castor oil is huge. And so when
oh,
we're talking about liver
I've heard the
detox,
benefits of that oil. I
yeah,
mean, it's been around forever, but
it's been around forever.
there's so many benefits to castor oil.
Yep. So you're rubbing it on your liver. So if you just put a little bit on your liver when you're going in there,
What?
it's going to draw out
Mhm.
those impurities sort of out of your liver and help in that detox and coat. So we've got a lot of people that come in with their castor oil packs, which is huge because you're just trying to accelerate that detox process.
Mhm.
The heat's obviously doing that, but the castor oil, which is I mean, it's pretty laid to rest the effects of castor oil for lots of different purposes. But that detox, if you're suffering from eczema, if you're trying to clear up your skin, it's going to draw out those impurities and really help with the clarity of your skin and with that
Mhm.
detox. And so, I mean, if I could just boil this all down to what is the one benefit? The one benefit is increased blood flow. The one benefit is that when you're sitting in the sauna with the infrared heat, your heart rate is going to increase, your circulation is going to increase. Therefore, you've got more blood, you've got more nourishment, you've got more oxygen going to the working muscles, and that has a cascade of benefits, right? So we could go into all the reasons why that's beneficial and the hemoglobin, the red blood cells, and the hermetic stress, and maybe that's for another day. But what's to be able to sit in there and relax, but at the same time get the same benefit of moderate vigorous activity, moderate to vigorous activity, and
Mhm.
have our heart rate jump up to 130 or 140, but at the same time we're relaxed, but we're getting all
Mm.
those ancillary benefits. That's huge.
Mhm.
That's really the key takeaway is like, um, that's the benefit. The benefit is the increased blood flow. The benefit is the increased oxygen, saturation to your muscles. And you're going to have, you know, you're going to experience a lot of benefits in a lot of different ways from that.
Love it.
Wow.
Uh, My takeaway is longevity too. That's huge.
No.
That's
Yeah,
important.
Yeah.
absolutely. I think, I don't know, I'm, like, blown away. I mean, this was the short version, I'm sure, of what each of these, uh the intention with each of the stages of what you're getting from in there, like the colors to the red light, and then now you've added that, um, the snow shower, and I'm like, "Sign me up."
Yeah.
And you have membership. Can you just share what your memberships are like for people?
Yeah, memberships. So we've got memberships that are recurring, similar to your gym membership that everyone's sort of like the model that a lot of people are used to. If you're going to come in, 4 times a month, 8 times a month, or unlimited, we've got folks that span that range depending on what's best for their lifestyle, best for their situation at hand. Obviously, I think 8 times is the sweet spot. I think if you're coming in once a week, yes, you're going to get the acute benefits of that session. But if you really want to see sort of changes in some of the things we've talked about today, I would say, I mean, obviously, I'm going to promote coming in unlimited and coming to that
Mhm.
for the reduction in all-cause mortality, that 3 to 4 times a week. You're going to get that with unlimited, but I think you're going to see a big jump from 4 to 8 coming in 8 times a week. So you can definitely do that. You can get on a recurring membership. You're going to get our app. You're going to see our schedule. You're going to jump in and say,
Mhm.
hey, I want to come in at 3:30. You're going to select your room. You're going to get on the schedule. You're going to walk in. You're going to say hi to our phenomenal staff. Your towels are going to be ready for you. Your preferences are going to be set. We've got premium entertainment inside the room, so you can watch your Netflix shows. You can listen to you guys on the podcast. You can catch up on your Nurse Life podcast while you're in the sauna.
Yes.
You can we've got Hulu. We've got so you can sort of unplug inside your room. Premium towel service. That 40-minute session. If membership is not the right fit, we've got packages. So you can buy a book of packages, whether it's 10, 20, whatever. You come in and then you can just use those. Those don't expire for a year. So you can just sort of use those when you feel like you can get into the studio. Those are the two big options: packages, memberships.
Mhm.
But yeah, we've got the location at Arizona Avenue and Ocotillo. We've got the location Higley and Queen Creek, which is South Gilbert. We've got Cannon Beach coming in mid-November at Power and Warner and the surf park. And then look for Queen Creek sort of Q1 of 2025.
Mm.
So we think we've got the East Valley surrounded, or at least our part of the. I mean, I know Claire, you're out in Scottsdale, but like you know, um, we think that gives people, because one thing we've realized is like it has to fit. It has to be in their circle, right? It
Mhm.
has to fit in their daily routine. It has to be on the off of drop off next to their gym where they shop. So we feel like having these locations just in your normal routine, we're really catering to a wide swath of people, because people are shown that they may not drive 20 minutes out of their way. They may, you're going to get maybe a slice of people that really prioritize this experience, and they're going to drive 20 minutes. But if it can be in their 5 to 7 mile radius where it can fit into the routine, they're much more likely to come, and we're already seeing that. And so we want to give people the option. We want to give all of our neighbors sort of in this part of the East Valley the option to do that, and to pop in, come in the morning, come in the afternoon. I mean, round trip, you're looking at an hour. You know what I mean? If you're coming in,
Mhm. Within
you're
your
getting that 40
bubble.
minute session, you're within your bubble, and
Mhm.
add it to your wellness regimen. And I think you're going to see phenomenal benefits uh, that we talked about today.
If you
Oh,
could make
wow.
one just right next to where I live, that would be great.
I know, I know. Well, who knows? Who knows what's on the horizon? So, we're excited about it, and there's a lot of opportunity out there. Paradise Valley, if you're in Scottsdale, that's probably the closest one. There are a few more coming to like the North Scottsdale area. They won't be our studios, but they'll have a lot of the same benefit, modalities. And so, if you're in the North Scottsdale area, I can't speak to the timelines, but they're coming. You're going to see Perspire pop up just because it. I think it captures these modalities in a really cool experience, because like we talked about earlier, it's not just about the effects of those three things we talked, or the four things, right, that we talked about.
Mhm.
It's also about the experience in which you package those things. It's about what do
Mhm.
people feel when they're in the studio. That's as important. So it's we've knocked it out of the park, I think, with sort of putting this elevated experience together, and I think you're going to see them pop up in lots of places because people are seeing the benefits and they enjoy their time in the studio.
Love it.
Well,
Very
and that's
exciting.
that's where Claire, you and I could maybe try to do one together. It may take a hot minute for us to collaborate or schedule, but to go and have that experience together would be fun, and then
Yeah.
podcast on it, or like
Yeah.
snippets. I mean, we have a lot of ideas where we want to do more in-person things, Claire and I, than across a screen here, but
Well, come
um
out to Cannon Beach at our grand opening. You can set up a little, impromptu conversation podcast right out in
Oh,
front of the studio,
yes.
and that'd be,
Yeah.
what's
it's right
the
at the.
projected
Let's
date for that?
So we're looking at the weekend before Thanksgiving for Cannon Beach. Now we're still, we're closing up walls, and construction is probably midway through, and let's cross our fingers we don't hit any hiccups. But yeah, we're really looking at, we want to open up before Thanksgiving, and we could be the weekend or two before Thanksgiving is what look we would be our sort of our founding weekend. And so if people
Okay.
go to our website, if they go to perspiresaunastudio.com, you go find Cannon Beach, you're going to see a founding membership. So we're offering a founding membership opportunity. You can sign up for that.
Mhm.
That'll get you a spot at Founders Weekend. And so basically that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're going to have
Mhm.
complimentary sessions for everybody. You're going to come through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to book it. We're going to come through, and then you're going to, after your session, you can sign up for whatever membership package fits your budget, fits your lifestyle. But that's really going to be our big launch, is that weekend. And so that would
Mhm.
be a great time to have you guys out. But anybody listening, go to the
Mhm.
website, search for Cannon Beach, sign up for that sort of founding membership. That's going to
Mhm.
lock you into a membership that you can only have up until founding weekend. And then we're going to go to sort of retail menu prices, and you're going to lose that benefit, which is a pretty hefty membership reduction in price. So
Yeah.
um, it's kind of a cool
Well,
opportunity.
and I have the Gilbert Half Marathon is that same on the 23rd, but
Oh,
that's in the morning, and it's, wrapped up midday, so we can powwow Claire and see what that weekend looks like for us, because there'll be time after that. And but I'm working with Stacy with perhaps some stuff with the Gilbert Half, so to get that
great.
awareness out. So we'll powwow on the outside of the podcast, but
That
lots of
would be
cool
great. Yep.
things. I so appreciate you coming on here and enlightening both Claire and I in this space, and then of course our listeners, and let's get people healthy inside, like truly the inside. get them healthy from all the stuff we breathe in and what we're surrounded with we don't have control over.
Totally. Yeah, couldn't agree more. So thanks for the invitation. It was great chatting with you guys. Hopefully we can do it again soon, and hope to
Mhm.
see you in the studio very soon.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much, Chandler.
You bet. Thanks all.